Recently, I've been watching a lot of Marvel Rivals tournament, and I noticed something really interesting. A lot of the time, both teams would bring a Bucky for their DPS role, and they would usually bring a Loki as one of their support role. I've seen players absolutely steamrolling the other team, getting multiple again and again and again. I've seen team purposely not killing the Loki clone so that the Bucky would have another reset of his ult. But despite that, the team on the receiving end still stays with the Loki pick. You sometimes even see that Loki is just straight up banned altogether. And why is that? Why do all of these teams is still sticking with the Loki pick? I genuinely think Loki is one of the best designed character on Marvel Rivals. Disclaimer: this is not at all an in-depth guide on how to play Loki. This is only an appreciation video on why I love the way his character is designed. Thank you. Loki has 5 abilities in his disposal: Mystical Missile, Doppelganger, Regen Domain, Devious Exchange, and Deception. Backstab sucks, ignore that shit. This is exactly why I think Loki is the best designed hero in this game. Not only does all 5 of his ability are actually good and impactful, but all of them synergizes with each other so incredibly well. Beyond that, they also managed to center his entire kit around deception and tricks. So to take advantage of all 5 of his ability, you have to think like a trickster. You have to play like the god of mischief himself. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a look at Loki's primary fire is Mystical Missile. It shoots a projectile that creates an AoE effect that deals 30 damage to enemies and deals 40 healing to allies. Now this is actually crazy because as of the writing of this video, I did not realize that his projectile shot itself doesn't deal any damage or deals any healing. His projectile shot actually doesn't do anything. The delayed AoE that spawns after the projectile shot is hit is the thing that deals the damage and the healing. With that small detail, you probably think the logical conclusion is to aim at feet level and let the AoE do the rest. Well, actually no, but sometimes kinda yes. When allies are grouping up together, sure, you probably want to aim at their feet and take advantage of the AoE. Like I said earlier, when you play as Loki, you have to get into the mind of the god of mischief himself. And Loki definitely ain't no bitch. When you're inevitably getting dived by an enemy, you know, try to actually hit them. You're a grown-ass man. Hit the goddamn body shot. Now that we realize that cool small detail after 40 hours of playing Loki, the stat of his primary fire on its own is kinda alright, but it can be quickly out-healed when compared to the likes of Dagger and Luna Snow. But that's where his doppelganger comes in. Loki can summon 2 perfect clones of himself that have the exact same stat as him. So that is a potential of 90 damage per shot on multiple enemies or 120 healing per shot on multiple allies. That is insane. And here's the thing. Loki can cast his clone at quite far distance of 30 meters from himself. With that kind of distance, you can really set up some sneaky ass clone placement with Loki. Triangulation is a concept to measure out distance with a triangle via a bunch of calculation that might as well be magic to my dumbass brain. Essentially, it's a formation of Loki clone and yourself that formed a fucked up triangle, hence the word triangulation. The point of this formation is to ensure that all or at least one clone have LOS of the team even if the team move quite a bit. Simple example would be here in Krakow, where I place my clone here and here close with each other, while I play far back behind using clone B as a meat shield. This shit triangle of a formation covered this much ground of the enemy area and covered this much ground of allied areas. If the enemy were to push to this allied areas, all of the clone is going to have LOS LOS on the team and the enemy, assuming your clone is not destroyed. And yes, if we were able to push forward, clone B would lose LOS pretty quick. But that's where you need to reposition the clones and create a new triangle formation. This is deadass what I do every match. I visualize the map in a bird's eye view and place the clone in a semi-triangle to maximize my damage output and healing output. Ground level clones also has its advantage being a dispenser of regen domain. Regen Domain is actually one of the best defensive abilities in this game because Loki drops a circular spell field with a radius of 5 meters that does 100 points of healing per second, and all of the damage received to Loki himself and allies standing in the circle is converted to healing. In other words, in the 5 seconds following a regeneration domain, Loki and his allies are effectively immortal. This one ability counters almost all of the ult in the game. It's insane. It's actually insane. But the regeneration domain could get prematurely stopped by destroying the runestone floating above it. And would you look at that? The regen domain also pops up on the clones that Loki has summoned onto the field. That means all of the advantages of Doppelganger carries over to regen domain. You don't even have to wait for allies to get near you to pop the regen domain. Heck, you don't even have to wait for allies to get near your clone to pop the regen domain. I deadass would just summon a clone near my teammate from a safe distance and then pop the regen domain. Now can you see the vision of why I think Loki is the best? It's all centered around his clone. Doppelganger makes Mystical Missile 2 times better, while Regen Domain becomes even more flexible because of Doppelganger. They flow and synergizes so unbelievably well. And I haven't even talked about his 2 other abilities yet. It's so good, man. It makes his game plan and playing him actually so fucking fun. To elevate the clone placement even further, you can literally place the clone on an elevated surface. Just from the simple fact that a higher clone placement basically forces the enemy to either choose to keep engaging in the fight and constantly get shot on, or deviate their crosshair from a fight to kill a clone that is placed in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. High ground Loki clones absolutely reign supreme. Clones on high ground also unlocks Loki's best anti-dive abilities, Devious Exchange and Deception. Because with Devious Exchange, in a single click you are teleported to a location of your nearest clone. With a single goddamn click, you're teleported to a high ground clone and successfully avoided the dive attempting to backshot you. Deception can also be mixed in after the switch to regain some health back and set up even more clones. Hell, I even used the switch into Invis combo aggressively all the time by taking advantage of the 30-meter clone placement distance and placing a clone as far as I can to immediately switch to that clone and go Invis. Like, my god, dude, do you see it now? Do you see what I'm seeing? Like, do you see the vision? Just from the fact that all of his abilities are tied to his clone, it makes his entire kit so complex and full of skill expression. Like, the best way I could summarize why playing Loki is fun is that it's like a small micro decision making that you have to do and like find the best possible solution for it. It's kind of like that, but now imagine if that micro decision making happens every 20 seconds. So your ass gotta make the right call or you are cooked. And honest to God, I wouldn't have it any other way. Oh shit, I forgot to talk about his ult. Since I'm in the verge of blanking myself editing this video, I'll keep this section short. Loki can essentially copy any character in the game and get their ultimate. Yes, you can copy DPS or tank ultimates to potentially get some big multi-kills that can sway the tide of the battle. But keep in mind, when you change into a DPS, your team would be one healer short for a solid 20 to 30 seconds depending on the character that you copy. So, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to go Invis and pick your favorite white woman.